Hello again. This is part one of the I Am Here workshop. You will have the workshop outline on your notes when I send them to you, and I'll just briefly tell you that there will be 4 parts: inspiration, background, composition and stitch. Today we're going to look at inspiration. What I would like you to do is to make sure you have a camera or a phone that will take photographs for you. And I'd like you to go around your house and take photographs of different things as they take your eye. Probably 10 or 12 photos. I've done a few more and I'll show you some of those in a minute. But just look for interesting details, things like shape, texture, line or colour, and try both close-up and distant shots. After you've done that, then you'll need to print some of your photos out. Some of them I've done in colour. I actually did want to use a proper photo printing machine at our local chemist, but it wouldn't recognise my phone. So I've done these on my inkjet printer, just to show you what I've done. The good thing about photographs done properly is that you can actually use them in your collage, which we'll talk about later. These you can as well, but they can smudge if they get wet. Also, some of your photos I would like you to enlarge and make into A4 prints in black and white or grayscale, or you can just make some rough sketches, just minimal lines without too much detail. To show you the sorts of things I found around my house were things like the back of a chair with a curtain, a pot, an old fan, a tile with a bird on it, the corner of a shelf and some flowers. And I thought, yes, these would be great inspiration for my collages and stitching on paper that I'm going to do. And I especially thought this pot would be something that I would use. As it turned out, that's not actually what happened. Then I decided, well, I'll look outside and see what there is in the immediate surroundings. So I've done some horizon and fence line shots, and they actually seem to be more what I was heading for when you're looking from the back or the front door to the places that you may not necessarily be able to get to. Also looking for details like the concrete out the back, some of which is cracked, things like window panes, stones on the ground. All of those things are very useful for inspiration. When I blew them up, I could see more compositional details. So for example, in this one, the chair back and the curtain, you've got your horizontal lines and you've got your vertical lines. And that actually inspired me for some of the works that I did. And when I drew them, I drew very minimal lines. This is a close-up of the pot that I was talking about. Lovely round shapes. Window panes, it might help if I showed you that the right way. The old fan. The wire corner of a shelf. A tile from our kitchen, which was given to me, actually came from the UK. Some protea flowers, which I think I might use for stitching patterns. And the grayscale is actually quite different. You see more the black and white and the lines rather than all the colours, which can be distracting. And I did several of that, different flowers, because we've got several in a vase. When I went outside, I found some interesting things. I found this old tyre sitting on the concrete. And I really love the curved shape and also the texture in the background. I'll just quickly show you some of the others. This is our doormat on a concrete step. And again, minimal shapes and lines and good textures. Some stones on the ground. There's actually a hole in the concrete and these stones are filling the hole. A fence line and horizon. A crack in the concrete. Something that you would pass by without even noticing. But once you start looking, you see all these interesting details. Another fence line with some trees. And then I went to the gallery when I was teaching the on-site workshop, And with my student we went around and we looked at some details inside and out. Outside we have a grid, which is a kind of a drain in the concrete. And because it's an old service station, these are the covers to the old tanks, which are no longer being used, and I love the circular shapes of that. Part of a pot plant with a bit of the concrete and a metal plate. And there's the metal plate close up. A light switch, which again has some interesting lines. And I've offset it because sometimes being symmetrical is not very interesting. And if you offset it, it makes it more interesting. That's a lamp that I have at the gallery. And I liked the diagonal and vertical lines contrasting with each other. This is an old washboard. So there's a small circle, which is the hole for hanging it up. And then the grooves for doing the washing, and a lovely water stain at the top. And I'll show you in a minute how that inspired me. A back of an old chair that's been stripped of its upholstery. A drawer on a cupboard. If I could just separate the pages. That was a window catch. So you've just got the framework of the window catch, and some diagonal lines from power lines outside. So that was really my take on looking at photographs around the area. So I've put some ideas in the notes. You can look at things like pathways, brickwork, carpet. Sometimes carpet has some interesting textures. The leaves on a plant, a bowl or a tea or a coffee cup. Once you start looking, you'll find lots of things. And I'll just briefly show you. When you're doing your drawings, which will be the next stage in the background, so don't worry about it yet, I'm just giving you a preview. That's the top of the washboard. And you can see the wiggly line which represents the stain at the top, and then the hole that's used for hanging. And that's all I put on that. I didn't put any grooves. And that actually will be an inspiration for probably some soil painting, which, remember, is a bonus tutorial that's coming up. This is the washboard itself with the hole and the grooves, and I only did a few. I didn't do all of them. I thought it might be too busy if I did that. This is a simplified version of the light switch that I showed you. The covers on the tanks in front of the gallery. The back of a chair, the one without the upholstery. That's the grid out the front. I just kept that as 2 lines. So you're only going to be doing, say, 2, 3 or 4 lines. That's the drawer front, and that's the window catch. And there are others that I've done too, showing horizons and fence lines. But just to give you a preview, I've got some artwork laid out, just to show you where we're heading. This is some collage with some stitch that I've started. That one is finished, I think, although I may be doing some machine stitching as well. And I found text in newspapers and so on. Just a quick preview. These are some collages in progress, which are still not finished, and I'm not really sure when they'll be finished. So you just work at them, doing the layers until you're happy. Backgrounds can be white paper, they can be eco-printed papers. That's some that I've added some stitching to, with some of my soil painting on top. I've added buttons to that one, and this one I've just added some stitching onto the eco-print. Plain white paper will be used a lot, and that's in your materials list, and I recommended about 180 to 200 GSM, and this pad is one that I found that has that weight of paper of 200 GSM. Then I've got other materials here, some sewing implements, drawing, pencil sharpener and rubber, and then different kinds of paints and sprays and brush and so on that I've mentioned in the materials list. So I hope you have fun taking your photos. In the next instalment, we'll be looking at creating backgrounds, and then you'll really be able to get your hands dirty. So till next time, bye and have fun and take care.